It is 18 minutes to 7. Good morning to you. Distorted and malicious. That's how Sir Elton John has described recent newspaper articles about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
They faced criticism after it was claimed they took 4 private jet journeys in 11 days, including one to Sir Elton John's home in Nice. So what impact could this have on the royal couple? Historian and Professor Kate Williams joins us from our London newsroom. Thank you so much for coming on. I mean, there's lots about this in the papers this morning. Do you think, first up, do you think they are being unfairly targeting on this? Or does it come down to the issue of hypocrisy, that they can't campaign for climate change and talk to others about taking steps and then take 4 flights in 11 days themselves?
Well, Dan, the thing is that there have been plenty of other royals campaigning about climate change and talking about climate change, which is obviously, you know, we all need to think about climate change, and then taking private jets or then taking helicopters for short trips as opposed to driving or taking the train like the rest of us. But and usually what happens is the royals do have a huge carbon footprint, and very often it's paid for by the taxpayer. And that's the information that we tend to get because the Foreign Office pays, so we get a lot of information about their travel on helicopters and on planes. But usually the papers don't bat an eyelid. And then when we have Harry and Meghan taking private jets, which obviously are not paid by the taxpayer, they're paid by Elton John, that's when there is an outcry. And I think what there seems to be is this general trend in that what Harry and Meghan do, when the other royals do it, it's fine. So when the other royals edit a magazine, it's fine. When Harry and Meghan do it, there's a huge outcry. And that's why it seems to be a problem.
And why do you think why is it contentious for them to do these things but not for others? And for those who are supportive of them, there's as much anger on that side of things defending them as there is for those who are pointing the finger.
I think all the royals need to address their carbon footprint. I think I think the Queen at 93, she can take the private jets, but I think the rest of them need to think carefully about, do they need to take private jets to Paris, all of them, and helicopters for one trip to London and then back to Scotland? Simply, it's very difficult to be sustainable. Obviously, the argument is that they need the security, but it's expensive, and we are in a world that is literally on fire. It's heating. But certainly the real problem, I think, with Harry and Meghan is that really, from the beginning, the dialogue has been one that's been very critical of really Meghan, very critical of Meghan, and for things that she does that all the royals do, and it might be wearing a strapless dress that they all do, or the nail varnish, or closing your car door, or editing a magazine, or really everything that she does gets criticised in a way that it doesn't get criticised for the other royals. And I think it is very problematic, and I think that there is anti-Americanism, there is sexism, but I think some of it and some of the resentment towards her and the words used about her, such as outsider, such as, doesn't belong. I mean, it really does have to come down to racism.
You talked about, we mentioned Elton John, and I'm sure that when he released that statement, he thought very long and hard about the words that he used. And he did reference Princess Diana. Do you see any parallels in the sort of, historically, in the way that the press dealt with Diana and the way they're dealing with Meghan?
Yes, I do. I think that, I mean, obviously Elton's tweets, he was obviously very upset about this. He thought it was a private visit and he was paying for it, so who would be concerned? And he was obviously, felt he had to speak out, and there was a huge amount of, coverage on social media, a lot of support he got. But yes, I think that everyone who marries into the royal family has a terrible time. Prince Philip was called a Nazi when he was actually fighting on the Allied side. Diana was hounded, she was chased. And I think we forget, actually, that often she was heavily criticised before, and now about doing the wrong thing and going above her station, and really she got a huge amount of criticism, as well as her appearance, as well as her weight, and it really concerns me. I think that are we trying to chase down our royal women? Is society as a whole trying to chase them down, trying to attack them, trying to undermine them? I mean, some of the coverage saying, about Meghan eating too many avocados and that's causing avocado drought when many people in this country eat avocados. I remember seeing an article around the marriage saying, well, Meghan can't marry into the royal family because the Queen's the head of the Church of England and Meghan's divorced. And you think, well, there are quite a lot of other divorced members of the royal family. I think the future king, for a start. So simply she is criticised and attacked, and I think it's very concerning. I think it's very concerning in terms of our attitudes towards a woman of colour, but I think it's very concerning in terms of our attitudes towards people who marry into the royal family and how we treat these women in particular, and what do we want to hunt them down in the end? That was what happened to Princess Diana.
Professor Kate Williams, really interesting to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much. And we'd love to know what you think about that story as well this morning. I mean, some very strong words from Professor there. But do you care? Does it matter that they take flights and campaign about climate change? Would you like to see them on a Ryanair or a Jet2 flight instead? It's
Still a flight, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the issue. Mind you, being accused of bringing down the world of avocados, there's a thing, eh?
Yeah, well, it is a really interesting point that Professor Kate Williams makes there. How much of it is, I suppose, inspired by potentially the fact that she is a woman, the fact that she is American, and the fact that she's black? How much of it comes from that?
That'd be a fair amount, I imagine.